Welcome everyone to Book Study 12 of Unfolding Consciousness, exploring the living universe. The universe is living. It is a living thing. It is life, consciousness, exploring the living universe and the intelligent powers in nature and humans. And that's where you come in. We're still in, obviously, we're still in Volume 1. We haven't even hit the main stuff yet. We're still in the Proem. And this is a panoramic survey. So Volume 1 is a panoramic survey, science contrasted with the perennial philosophy. For those of you, if you just popped on this video, what is perennial philosophy? Perennial simply means eternal, always coming through, always. Eternal wisdom, philosophy, phila meaning love, Sophia, wisdom, the love of wisdom, perennial, okay? So contrasted with the perennial philosophy on consciousness and man, and that means mankind. So what I've decided to do with these is keep Edi's text pure, and then I will translate a lot of it. There are academic words in there that sometimes puts people off, and they're like, I don't know what that means. So I'm going to just restate what is in this text to the best of my ability as a dedicated student of these ancient, ageless, archaic teachings of compassion and unity, and just be able to share them with you in these studies. Now, I highly, highly, highly encourage you to participate. Yes, it's an intimate crowd. That's what we used to say in radio when not a lot of people showed up. It's intimate. It is an intimate crowd right now. But if you're here, then that's not by accident. Good for you. I will also include a 20% discount coupon up here because this text is a 4-volume hardback set that I believe should be available at all libraries, institutions across the world. Okay, this is not something you're just going to pick up and pop on an airplane ride and just read by the time you get to Spain. It's not going to happen like that. This is a reference manual for life. So they are available in hardback only now. The ebook versions are on their way. And there's also audiobook versions that are coming up and much, much more condensed versions, study manuals, all kinds of stuff. But for right now, I feel this is imperative. The time is now to get these out into the world. And as a former radio broadcaster, I don't know what else to do other than voice them with you. So I think we should get started. Let's go ahead and start on Book Study 12, Unfolding Consciousness. Here we go. We are still in the Proem in the very beginning. And remember, knowledge in itself far surpasses knowledge about something. Any true understanding of the unity of perennial philosophy and mystical experiences must, therefore, come from a personal experience. You need to experience it to know it. Something that happens to you, not something that happens to someone else, and then they tell you about it, and then you have to accept it as truth. It's you. You're the only one who can prove it to yourself through your own experiences. Erwin Schrödinger, being the epitome of a scientist who understood and applied this fact, says the archaic wisdoms and mystical experiences cannot be understood simply by academic and intellectual study alone. So, what is the definition of unity in perennial philosophy? Unity. What do you think of when you hear unity? It does not mean simply being similar or even sharing a common purpose like an army or a sports team. Unity is not uniformity, all being the same, nor unification, like joining up together as a unit like marriage, nor is it simply agreement, concurrence, or acting together simultaneously. Edi recalls being told about an incident after a very scholarly talk on yoga by R.C. Zahner. Remember him from our last lesson? When a slight Hindu lady came up from the audience and she asked him, "Have you ever actually practiced yoga?" Well, being an honest man, the knowledgeable professor had to admit that he had not ever practiced yoga. This illuminates the limits and limitations of the intellectual academic approach to religion and philosophy. This is age-old. It is much easier to give a lecture on how to get to heaven, so to speak, than it is to heed the actual signposts and walk to heaven. Well said. Crucially, and in what may seem conflicting and even confusing, Unity, in the truest sense of the term, allows and welcomes infinite diversity. Some examples from our everyday life. This is a direct quote from Edi here. And taking a look, you consider a necklace of several beads. The individual beads may be of different colors, different shapes and sizes, but they are strung together by one string, one entity. Unity does not lie in the common characteristics of the beads, such as their roundness or their color or their hardness, but in the fact of the thread passing through all of them, stringing them together as a complete unity, one necklace. Another example, which is writers dipping their pens into a shared inkwell, okay, and then writing about the same theme. Each one would write down in their own handwriting with possibly a limited overlap of ideas with the others in the group, but they are all writing with the same ink. Here, unity lies in the ink and not in the various concepts or writings in different languages. The ink is always one substance. What is done with that ink, what is created, is limitless. Therefore, the one, the ink, allows the many, a multitude. So this unity is open to everything, anything, and infinite diversity. Unity is diversity. Another example is our skeleton. We have no two bones are exactly the same, nor are they all held together by the same single muscle or single tendon. They are all different, yet they interconnect. They are linked to each other, interrelating, functioning as one organism. Unity here lies in the structure and the functioning of the human frame, not in the individual components, which, when looked at in combination, they're just completely different. In looking at these comparisons and metaphors, the individual explanations of the archaic wisdom, the perennial, unending, everlasting, eternal philosophy, they are greatly varied in their content, focus, and teachings and expression. In spite of the extremely varied languages and expression throughout a wide variety of cultures and throughout eons of time, it is still possible to detect the single thread passing through them that reconciles and unites them as one universal and self-consistent body of wisdom on the common theme of spiritual awakening and realization. One of the finest examples of the underlying unity of the great religions' paths of both East and West is the fundamental harmony between the confusing and hard to understand and often misunderstood Book of Revelation and the Samkhya philosophy of ancient India. This and several other instances of unity will become more understandable as we proceed, as this is a central theme periodically focused on throughout this work. There you go. That's just a little bit of the poem. We're still moving through them. Remember, this is a 4-book set, and it is very durable. It is sturdy. It is easy to study because he's made it that way. So anyone of any age, this is the instruction for life. This is a collection of the ancient teachings, but it is explained. And it is science, religion, philosophy, and then some. This is a monument. That's why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this to be able to share them. And I get to benefit from that because I get to spend time with the teachings. And once again, as I said in the last lesson, Edi is not a pretentious guru. It's not about Edi. He's a humble servant to be able to get these out into the world and get them so people can have access, and they apply them in their daily lives. That's the thing, is when these things were written, these teachings were written down thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago. We somehow think that only applies to that particular time and then, and maybe we think about it before we go to bed and we read a little bit, or once a week at Sunday, on Sunday Mass or whatever. No! They're to be used in everyday life, in everyday situations. For example, the mortgage rates are going up. How are you going to pay for that? You're afraid, you're worried, you're concerned. There's a bigger picture. You can navigate through life's turbulent waves of drama and destruction. There's a lot of suffering here. How do we help ease that suffering? We give you the instructions on how to navigate life here on earth and understand what we're here for. This is without religion. Hashtag freedom from religion. Oh my God, freedom from religion. However, you can study the commonalities within the religions in this text. And this is a collection that I believe will be serving humanity for eternity. I mean, this is one of the most important texts written of our time. It reminds me of the secret teachings of all ages, and that's Manly P. Hall's work. I'm here to go ahead and give these lessons once a week. I show up here every Sunday. Whether you guys show up or not, I'm here because I do believe people will come, they'll want to know. And if they want to know, it's not about me. It's not about Eddie. It's not about you buying the book. If you want to refer it to your local library, they can get 20% off with that discount. It's about what you hear and what resonates inside of you. Because I know how I feel when I'm like, oh my God, I get it. I understand. This is finally what I've been looking for. It's not the New Age movement either. The New Age movement and the juicy Glastonbury, but the Glastonbury goddess guru BS, they're cherry picking from these teachings. If you want the real deal, this is an explanation of explanations, an understanding. And yes, it is highly sometimes academic, and that's why I translate a little bit to take some of those words and make them a little bit more understandable to the best of my understanding. But I highly recommend you do the same. You get a hold of these and you get to study them. And you study them, great. Apply them and become them. That is what they are here for. And they will help ease the suffering for you and all of those around you, all beings on earth. The sole reason I am here doing these book studies or doing any of this stuff online is to help, to work, to use the only skill I have, which is I'm a broadcaster, to share these teachings, to help eliminate the suffering, the unnecessary suffering of all beings on our planet. And if that means anything to you, if you feel that same crushing call of compassion, then apply these teachings, become them, share them with your friends. Okay, I love you. I'll see you next week. Mwah.